this is crazy. I was trying to wait and do this in the morning time, but I can't wait. It's not letting me. Like, I have to do this now. For what morning time. I can't. I tried. I'm like, I'll get up at 5:30, 6. God like, nope, do it now. I'm like, but it's 11. He like, I don't care. Do it now. So, the message is today, well, tonight. Don't be so quick to say no. Whatever it is may be sent by God. Because, you know, a lot of times we always say no to stuff. Like, we always tell somebody no when they need help, or we always tell somebody no when they offer help. We don't never really say yes. Like, we always say no in situations that be misunderstood to us, or situations that seem like confusing to us, or situations that seem like, you know, that don't appear to be promising to us. We like to say no. Okay, I'm good, never mind. Like, you know, I don't want this. Nah, I'm cool, I'm alright. Like, you know, don't be so quick to say no to a situation, you know, because whatever that situation is, or whatever is coming through that situation may be sent by God. You know, like, you know, remember that remember that only God's rejection is true protection and not your own. Because a lot of times we, like I said, you know, when we say no to things, we thinking that we protecting ourselves, and, you know, in the meantime, it do seem like that, you know, but in the long run, it's not like that. In the long run, we're not really protecting ourselves. You ever tell somebody no to a situation, then you find out later on that that situation ended up being good, ended up being blessed, but you missed out because you said no, like somebody invited you out onto a trip or something like that, and then you like, nah, I'm cool, like, I'm gonna stay at home, like, you know, I don't want to go, like, and they like, but we going to relax, like, we going to free our minds, we going to, you know, I don't know, like, you know how they do soul searches and things like that. What if somebody invited you onto something like that and you told them no? Like, you know, or what if somebody invited you to come to, like, a convention, you know, for jobs, things like that, inviting you out, you know, just things like that, and you tell them no. Like, things like that, and you thinking you helping yourself out, you thinking that you're giving yourself, you know, more of a better judgment, but really you're not. What you're really doing is hemorrhaging yourself, and you're hemorrhaging your growth. You're not really helping yourself out. You're not really, because really your rejection is blind. You don't have the type of, when you reject something, you're not rejecting it like God would. You know, you're rejecting it and you're doing it in a blind way, you know, because you don't really see what you don't really see it, you don't really hear it, you don't really feel it. And remind you, we get judged off of what's really in our heart, you know, and we get blessed off of what's really in our heart. So if we sit in here and, you know, we rejecting things just based off of, you know, our vision, which is not 100% accurate, we're not being, it's not, how can I say it's not the proper protection for us, right? So our protection that's understood is not the same type of protection as God protection. So be careful when you say no to stuff so quickly. Be careful when you reject things so quickly, saying no to things, like, you know, because it might be sent by him, you know. I'm gonna be real. Like, it might be sent by him, and I have to explain that more. The way I'm saying when it comes to that is because a lot of times you'd be like, well, that was nothing but the devil. Like, you know, that was nothing but the devil. Or I don't want to go do this or go do that because it's got negative energy over there. They got negative energy over there. I don't want to go and be like them because they're negative. I don't want to go and sit over there because they're negative. I don't want to go and do these things because that looks like I'm being negative. You know, things like that. Like, I don't want to allow this to happen, or I don't want to help them out because it's going to make me look negative because I was talking about them or whatever. I'm going to just be real. I'm saying real life situations here because we here going through real life situations. We're not going through stuff that, you know, like, it's for fake or for the show, whatever the case is. This is real life. So the message, real life, like, don't be so quick to say no. Whatever it is may be sent by God. Remember that only God's rejection is there. Remember that only God's rejection is true protection and not your own. Like, When you reject things, you find out that it was only good for that temporary moment. You know, you usually miss out on things. You usually miss out unless he's literally making it like impossible for you. Like it's an impossible movement. Like it's in, remember, all things are possible through Christ who strengthens us. So if it's a situation that seems impossible and all of that, it's not even really you rejecting. It's more so him rejecting, if you get what I mean. Because when he allows things to happen or not to happen for you, it might be your protection. Like you know, we like to control life a lot. We like to control how it goes. We like to control what enters. We like to control everything. We like to control other people's lives. We like to control everything. We really do. Not to mention how we be unsatisfied with the results as we're thinking and conjuring up more. We be, you know, so controlling. Like, but when he allows something to happen or something not to happen for you, like, you gotta understand, there ain't no control. Like, us personally, we can't control that. You can't control that. The most you really could do is surrender to that, because that's change that's inevitable, to the point to where you're gonna waste all your time trying to stop that change from happening, and it's still gonna happen. It's still gonna happen, and you're gonna be tired. Real life, you know? So when he allows these things to happen for us, you know, and we expect for it to be all good, smooth gravy and sailing, and then we find out, you know, the ride kind of bumpy. And so then when we get there and we like, well, God said that this is supposed to be for me. He blessed this for me, but it seems like it brought more problems than it brought good. Like, have anybody been through that? Well, I have. Like, you know, but sometimes things got to get worse before it get better. Like, and anything with a process, anything with a purpose is going to go through a process, if you get what I mean. So when God giving you a blessing, when he giving you a blessing, regardless, you're going to go through a state of growth. You're going to go through a growth state, like a growth spurt, to the point to where the things that you used to do, the things that you used to do, you no longer will be doing. The ways that you used to think, you no longer will be thinking in. Like, you know, like when he gives you a blessing, it comes a test. But comes a test, comes a lesson. Like, you know, but that's just life. Really, that's really just life. Like, you know, that's why I said the main thing, though, about this message is a lot of times we need to think again before we say the devil this, the devil that, the devil, because can't nothing happen without the approval from God. Can't nothing happen without the approval from God. Can't nothing happen, I'm going to say that again for everybody, including myself, without the approval from God. So whether it be from a situation, from a human being, from the devil himself, real life, like, can't nothing happen without the permission from God himself, you know? So when something happens in your life, whether it be good or bad, all I'm trying to say is, don't be so quick to reject it. That's all. I'm not trying to beat around the bush or none of that. I'm not, you know, I'm going to just be straight, direct. Don't be so quick to reject it. Don't be so quick to turn your nose up at it. Don't be so quick to, you ever heard people say, like, you know, I was going through it. I was hurt. I was, you know, going through my problems. And the same people who were laughing at me now come to me for that advice. You know, it's not really like that. We're not really trying to say it like a rub in the face. It's just one of those effects to the point to where it's just like, wow, you didn't understand that you would be in that same situation. You didn't understand that because you're human, you might make that same mistake. But you wanted to make fun of me and you wanted to laugh at me because at the point in time, I was one of the only people going through it, or at the point in time, you know, like, it's just so many different situations that we go through every single day, like, every single day. But that's why you don't be so quick to judge stuff, like, man. And I got my favorite ones that I talk about, but Job and Jonah, their names are screaming so loud to me. And then what I just went through just now before I went on live, like, I just got back in the house because I was driving around, and for some reason I don't know, God was speaking to me. I really feel like it, like he's been speaking to me very loudly, like. And I went out and I went to the gas station just to go pick up a few things, and then I ran into I ran into someone, I didn't even know these people. I didn't know them from a can of paint, but I got in my car, and right when I put on my seatbelt, and I didn't even start my car up yet. Right when I put on my seatbelt, getting ready to start my car up and leave out, the woman waved me down. I'm like, okay, like, cause I was like 2 seconds away from pulling off. She waved me down or whatever, and she said, I have $10. Could you take us? I didn't even know what the name of the street was that she said or whatever, but I was already telling her like, yes, I'll take you. Like, you know, it was her and the guy or whatever. And but they need to go down by the mall, which was like 9 minutes away. But the point of this message of what I'm saying is, God had told me this. He had told me this. He had told me that I would be going out, and that he would be placing someone on my pathway, and they would need my help. And it was inside of my heart though to already help them. Like, I don't really care, like, you know, what comes from it or not. You know, really the main thing that I cared about is them getting there safely to where they needed to go. Like, you get what I mean? You get judged off of what's in your heart. You get blessed off of what's in your heart. So like, and I made it home safe. Like, that's a blessing for me. Like, you know, like, I helped somebody out and I made it home safe. Like, that's a blessing for me. I don't know what people look at life and they call a blessing nowadays. Like, you know, they get a lot of money and they be like, oh, they feel like they're only blessed when they get money, or they get a home, they get, you know, material things, and it's like, oh, I'm blessed because I'm wealthy materialistically. But you can have all the material things, and you can have all the gifts in the world, you know, be like intuitive, analytical, all that, you know, even be like telepathical for all we know. But the gifts are no good if you don't know how to love and be understanding. You know, understanding is love. Like, and like I said, you get blessed, and you get judged based off of what's in your heart, based off of the fruits of your heart, the fruits of your soul, the fruits of your spirit, and not the fruits of your flesh and the desires of your flesh. Like, those are not the good things for you. Those things that your flesh wants, them desirely things your flesh wants, that's what hemorrhages you, you know. And like I said, when he giving you a blessing, you know, you got to go through that stage of growth. You know, you got to shed something. Something has to change. You have to give up something. You have to give up something. When you want better for yourself, automatically you already know you have to shed the skin. You have to shed yourself. You have to grow. You have to elevate. You have to allow yourself to want more. You have to open your hearts. You know, you have to open your hearts. And if you open your hearts to the Lord, He'll come in and He will eat with you. You know, that's crazy, because I was reading this pamphlet earlier today, and I got this from the Beauty Supply. And it says, Jesus is waiting for you now. Jesus is waiting for you now. This is so dope. And it just has like a couple of little scriptures and stuff, and a few pinpoints and stuff. And I will be on here. I will be reading this. I'm going to be doing this tomorrow, though. These are two different messages, but I will be reading this little pamphlet, because who know that you walk into the Beauty Supply and then there it is, you know, Jesus right there at the door waiting for you. You know, I just came as I was, like, hey, for real though, y'all. But you know, when you open your heart, you know, you open your heart to Christ, and you allow yourself to be open to His message, open to His words and His knowledge, open to His type of loving, then you will begin to understand. You will begin to shed that skin. You know, you won't be so quick to call everything a distraction, or call, like, you know, for the worst. Like, you ever, like, I'm gonna use like a wild, like, explanation. Say, for instance, you're in your car and you're at the light and you're about to enter onto the freeway, right? But you have kids in the back seat, and the kids start making so much noise and disruption to the point to where you have to pull over to the side of the road to check on your kids and see what's going on and why they're making so much disruption. Not even 2 minutes later, there's a collision on the freeway. Okay? The same freeway that you were about to enter. Now, if the kids had not made the noise that they made, causing a distraction, leading for you to pull over on the side of the freeway to check on them, you would have been the one caught on that collision. You get what I mean? No one lost their life in the collision, but if you would have got caught, you would have lost your life, because you're finna get blessed and you're about to get this business that you've been fighting so hard for. You get what I mean? And the devil, see, he has these tactics, but see, because we get blessed and we get judged off of what's from our hearts, God allows these things to happen because he wants to see how we're going to act on it from our heart. A lot of times, though, we act on it from our flesh and we disregard it. We diss it. We reject it, thinking that we're being godly like, but we're really not being godly like. We're being humanly like. And that's real life, you know? But it's okay, though. It's okay. Like, just don't be the kind of person to stay there for a lifetime. Don't, you know? Like, realize that. Change it. You know, change it for the better. It's one thing to realize you got a problem. It's another thing to realize and make that change. And it's another thing to realize, make the change, apply the pressure, and stand on it. You know, real life. Consistency is main key. That's real life. So just think again before you say, well, that was just a big distraction to keep me from getting to where I was trying to go. Like, no, maybe it was his protection. Maybe it's his protection. And a lot of times we be sitting here and we be cursing the world and we be cursing everything, but we didn't even put in the work or, you know, labor. We didn't do nothing. Nothing at all, excuse me, for us to even be mad about that. Real life. But for the things that we did put work in, we don't get mad about. We just like be careless. Like we just be careless about it. Like that's why I said the story of Jonah really sits in with me, because Jonah didn't want to go preach to those people. He didn't want to go preach to who he had to go preach to. When God gave him that message, Jonah had two options: obey God or disobey God. Jonah did not choose to obey God. Jonah chose to disobey God, and he went the opposite direction. You ever had God tell you to be at this place at this time, but you like, you hear him, but you're like, I'm going to go over here. I'm not going to that, you know, that place that you're telling me to go to. That sounds just crazy. That sounds crazy. You know, you ever had God tell you like pay this much to tithings, pay this much to, yeah, because I have. I don't know if you have or not. I'm pretty sure you have though, but I know I have. I had God sit here in this very room with me and tell me, not even a whole week ago, 3 days ago, to literally basically give something to my mom. He told me the night before, and I'm sitting here and I'm talking to him, but it's weird because you have to be careful. You have to be careful not to listen to your flesh. You have to be careful because his voice comes afterwards. His voice is still. His voice is still and it's small like a whisper. But that don't mean that you miss things from him. That don't mean that it stays small. It'll grow louder and louder and louder to the point where you can't take it no more. But I was sitting in here and I'm talking to him and I'm like, are you really telling me to go give her? He said, yes. In the third drawer, give it to her. Go give her. I'ma just say it. Give her the $150 out of your money. Go in your drawer and give it to her. And I'm like, huh? I chose not to listen though. I'm gonna be so blunt with y'all as a human being, because I wouldn't be myself, and I wouldn't be doing what God wanted me to do if I didn't be honest. I'm be honest. I didn't listen. I stayed and I sat right here. And then he also, that's right after that, he told me, and you're also going to be placed out. You're also going to be out, and somebody's going to be placed on your pathway, and you're going to have to help them. That's all I got. The very next day, I woke up and the Wi-Fi and everything was off in the house, and my mom came to me, and there it was there. But if I had listened to God the night before and just followed what he told me to do, I wouldn't have had to get that confirmation. Because see, us as humans, we don't know how to go by faith. Like we're so used to sight. So the thing with me, it was like, it didn't take until me waking up to not having Wi-Fi and cable, and her coming knocking on my door and telling me like, I need this from you, to have it click in my mind like, wait, my God just told me last night to go. And then this is what I did. I allowed myself to be so human like that flesh side of me, that flesh in me really was speaking like, it's not in that drawer. It's in the second drawer. Anyways, no, that's not. He's not really telling you that. You're tripping. Why would somebody be telling you that? But then it's my gut though on the inside is like, get up and do it. Get up and do it. Don't second guess. But like I said, us as humans, we don't know how to walk by faith or believe faith or see through faith. You know, we look by sight, we walk by sight, and we believe sight. So it didn't take until my mom came and knocked on that door, and you know, she said what she said, and then it dawned on me. And then I didn't even go and tell her either. Like, I didn't. And that's what he means when he says, you know, be careful not to be like the hypocrites, and they go out and then they give to those in need, but only to be seen, because they get just that. They've already got their blessings in full pay, full D, you know. When you do certain things, sometimes you don't need to speak on it. Real life, you don't need to speak on it. The action was done and it spoke for itself. You don't need to add a narrative to the situation. You don't need to speak on it. Like, you know, like, you don't need to be for the show about things. Because it's another story in the Bible. And that story was about the workers in the vineyard. And, you know, it's crazy because all of those workers, if anybody know about the story in the vineyard, basically, there was a man who went to the vineyard. He had a vineyard, and he went out and he got workers to work at his vineyard. He hired the workers to work at his vineyard. But these men were men who basically just sat around and had nothing to do all day. So he would go out and he would say, well, what are you doing? Why are you just sitting here? Why aren't you working? Because we have nothing to do. No one has hired us. So he'd take them in. Go work in the vineyard. Go to work, you know. So by the end of the day, he had a lot of workers at his vineyard, but it was time for him to cash them out. He had told them they could work in the vineyard and that he'd pay them, you know, for the work that they've done, and they agreed to it. So they went. When the end of the day came and he gave out the money, you know, it said that the first should be last and the last should be first, right? So he gave he gave the last people their money first, right? And then, so the last people he just barely hired, because he had been hiring people all day. So imagine you going to a job, you got like this job interview, like for instance UPS. When I started working for UPS, before I started working, they had these hiring events that they would have. So I went to the one in Colton, and everybody was there. And so they told us, like, okay, well, you guys will be getting a call back in 2 weeks, a 2-week period of time. Everyone in this room, if they follow the correct instructions, they should be hired on in 2 weeks, right? Okay, so everybody in that 2-week period, you know, they would get the same kind of paychecks. They would get the same everything if they go to work on the same, you know how it go. Anybody who start work later on within that 2-week period, maybe after the fact, or maybe in the middle of it, or in the beginning, you know, they would expect to get a different type of paycheck. You know what I mean? Okay, so this is the difference though, because in the vineyard, even though he was going through hiring everybody all day, you know, throughout the day, so remind you, those he hired in the morning still working, he going out getting new workers, you know, and then new workers. So when it came time to pay him, he gave everybody the same amount. Remember, the first should be last and the last should be first. So he gave the last ones the money first. Okay? And the first one's just watching. Like, yep, they getting paid, you know. They got their little, you know, their percentage. And then the first people got paid. So he gave the first people the money. But the first people who were hired got paid the same exact amount as the other group of people did. So the first people... a group of people are looking like, what is this? Like, we've been working for longer than them. We've been here for way more hours than them, putting in way more labor than them, doing this way more longer than them, but we got the same amount. You got the same amount of money. This doesn't make any sense. And then the guy, you know, he's like, you guys agreed to this. You guys agreed to this. Like, you know, and just because they came last and y'all came first does not mean that I should give you better than them, or I should give them better than you. No, it's equal. It's equal. You guys all did this. You guys all worked in the same platform. You're gonna get the same money. That's just how it go. What are you talking about? I'm talking about the gospel. I'm talking about the gospel, and basically, I mean, you know, just saying that, why isn't it so good? Why it's not so good to be quick to reject things or diss things or say other things, because it might be your blessing, you know. Blessings sometimes come in ugly things, you know. Don't always come looking pretty, you know. And we're talking about how God sometimes allow things to happen for the best of us, and then he don't allow things to happen for the best of us, you know. And then we sometimes, you know, it's okay, we should take the time to stop and think about it when we say, you know, things are like the devil are trying to stop us from getting to a certain type of destination or place, you know, because maybe you should stop and think about what you allowing to grow on in your heart, and whatever you allow to grow in your heart, that's what you're going to be motivated off of, you know. But if it's not nothing that he spoke of being righteous, it would be wicked, and you get blessed and judged off of the things in your heart. Because, you know, that's the thing when we, you know, when we confess, when we do salvation. Because when we believe, the believing comes through us in the heart. It's in the heart. You know, when you believe something and you know you believe, you really believe it, can't nobody tell you nothing. Like, for instance, my godmom thought the Lakers was the best. Like, my godmom loved the Lakers, the LA Lakers. You couldn't come in her house or couldn't tell her nothing about the Los Angeles Lakers. Or you're going to get in a whole war with her. Like, because that's what she believed in. She believed in her Lakers. She loved her Lakers. She would even record the games that they lost. Like, and she'll watch them. Like, sometimes we give up on stuff because our belief wasn't strong enough. Sometimes we give up on things because our faith wasn't strong enough. Real life. But you ever realize what it's like if you kept going, even when you was tired? I can tell you what it's like. I really can. After a while of making so many different mistakes, you know, and then getting saved out of those mistakes by God himself, you start to realize, like, dang, I got to be careful with this little old heart of mine, and with this little old mouth of mine, and this little old mind of mine, because they're not that little. They're actually powerful. Gotta be careful with this heart of mine, and be careful what I allow to grow in it and come through it and come out of it. And what I mean by that is, things are gonna happen. Yes, things always are gonna happen in real life. Wherever there's sunshine, comes a storm. Wherever there's a storm, comes sunshine. It's going to happen. But we are not to let it change our hearts. We're not to let it make us angry, spiteful, hateful, evil, wicked, you know. No. Because if we let it make our hearts hard, and it, you know, make us evil and wicked, knowing that we get blessed and judged off of what's in our hearts. That's why everything is the way it is. That's exactly why it seems unsteady and uneased. Unsteady, uneased, you know, like unclear. I'm going to tell you right now, though, when you're not walking by faith and you walking by sight, you're going to always have an unclear vision, first of all. It's going to always seem unclear, unsteady, all the time. Period, point blank. But that really is the message, y'all. It was quick and easy. Maybe that's why I wasn't able to go at 5. Because I was really going to go live 5 o'clock in the morning. That really was a message, though. You know, don't be so quick to say no to stuff. Don't be so quick to be, you know, oh, no, I'm not going to sit with them. Because remember, you know, Jesus, he hung out with prostitutes and tax collectors and, you know, all that, you know. And then, you know, the Pharisees and Sadducees were known, you know, they were known to think that they sat higher than the others and everything like that. But they love was, you know, and they had the religious thing down packed. Don't get me wrong. Religious, they had it down packed, but it's not in the religion. You know, it's not in the religion. So they were sitting high and mighty. But they were living and, you know, loving off of their gold and silver and the things of Caesar's law. I'm going to be real with you. We still under Caesar's law. That's why that money, all the money in the world couldn't give you love. All the money in the world couldn't give you real happiness. All the money in the world couldn't give you real peace. Real life. I'm going to be real with you. All the houses and cars and condos and Vegas trips can't give you real peace and happiness. When all the drink go away and all the friends go away, real depression sinks in. Nobody ready for that conversation, but I'm back as always with messages, real life. This is one of the shortest ones that I've gave, but yeah, it's time to stop faking the funk. Get up from that place that you've been there for so long, stuck, in contemplation. Dust your shoulders off and get the stepping, like forward marching. No half stepping either. Since when do you play over something that you really love? Since when do you play over something that you're really passionate about and you really believe? You don't, huh? So that's what you do about yourself, your life. You get up, you dust yourself off, and you step. You forward step. You don't half march. You don't half march. You don't half step. You forward move. You keep applying that pressure. Real life. Because when the weed and the drink and the parties and all that go away, you gonna be like me, alone in the room. My room not clean right now, but ain't nobody in here with me. You get what I mean? And nobody, God told me to do it. And, he put the weight over my heart. But I don't honestly believe, I don't even want to say he put the weight over my heart. I honestly feel like because I have what I have in my heart and who I am as a person. Because, it just weighed over my heart. That just applied the weight over my heart. Sometimes, when you are a person who knows better and right from wrong, when you do something, you either got a clear conscience or a guilty conscience, So, that's why I don't really say that he, put the weight over my heart. It's kind of like I knew in my heart that he was telling me that. I knew that it was the right thing to do, and I wanted to do it. And so, it was more of a weight of, pressure. You always gonna have pressure, though, when you starting off. Especially if it's a field that you ain't ever been in before, and it's something new. Man, I feel like I'm talking to those ones. I feel like I'm talking to my people who be in depression all the time. My people who suffer depression and anxiety and things like that. We have to stop drowning ourselves around these things and then going and tucking ourselves away for these long periods of time and then expecting things in life for us to start changing and shifting if we keep in this same cycle going on. For one, they don't even understand really what's going on. They don't know what you need, what you want, what's gonna make you feel better, nothing, because really what we do is we go out, we drown ourselves with music and partying and turning up and drinking, and then we decide that we had enough of that. Or we have something that we went through in the past happen in that incident that triggers that trauma that we went through. And so then we run into our hiding places, wherever that is. Or we run to church, wherever that is. But don't you know, I'm going to tell you a secret. You should find the balance. It's nothing wrong with wanting alone time, And it's nothing wrong with wanting to have fun and being around your friends and going out and stuff. But it is something wrong when you're giving too much energy to one. And it is another thing wrong with it when you loving it more than you love God. Because you can't love something more than you love God. You can't. You gotta love him and place him at the center of your life. Because if not, it will get taken away from you. That's real life. So, it's just good if you balance it. If you learn to balance. Like, me, this is how I learned. I will pick maybe a day or two out of the week where, okay, I'm gonna be social. I'm gonna be social. If I get invitations anywhere, I'll go, and then for the remainder of that week, so maybe I'll go, for the remainder of that week, I'll just, I'll still talk to people, but I won't go out, I won't party, I will, do things, I will start to, more so slow down, I'll start studying, I'll start doing my research, I'll start doing art stuff, I'll start, we're reverting into the house, and then, that's just how I keep it balanced, that's just how, I don't know, maybe you know, you like art, maybe like drawing, maybe like painting, maybe like dancing, maybe the way you know, let off a lot of steam and a lot of stress is you go out, you know. But you know, maybe it's not to parties, maybe it's just like sightseeing, or you know, just being outside in nature and under the stars and hearing the birds, you know, in the trees at nighttime. Because here it's crazy, I be hearing the birds chirping at nighttime, they be singing. You know, it's just the little things, or maybe just, you know, being in your little space with your music turned up very loudly. Like, however you go to your happy place, it's always good to be in your happy place. It's always good to have your alone time. But it's never good to be so caught up in being alone, you know, because when you get so caught up in being alone, you don't know how to allow people to come in and love you. You don't know how to be, you know, like, open. You don't know how to have fun. Like, but then when you get so caught up in just always being out there and partying and always being out there and not knowing how to be alone and by yourself, that's a problem. Because, how can I say it? Me, I always gotta start with the story about me. Me, when I was out, not even about 3-4 months ago, I was just out there in San Bernardino, and then I came back again maybe a month ago, and I was having fun, but you know, it was the way I do it. It's the way that I do it. Like, you know, I come out and I don't go to everything. You know, I don't go to every party. I don't be in every center of attention. I don't be in everything, you know, but I make sure I show my face. I make sure I have fun. I make sure I let it be known that I'm still, you know, I'm still me. And then, but it's not for them. It's for me, honestly. Like, remind you, like, it's not really for everybody else. Like, you know, it's for me. I need to remind myself that I can still have fun. I need to remind myself that I can still, you know, that there's still fun out there. Like, I'm only 21. Like, you know, then I go in. I like do, and then sometimes I could put both together. Like, I go out and I will be like with my friends, but we will be talking about the gospel. We'll be giving messages out. We'll be helping, you know, we'll be doing recreational things. We'll be doing positive things, you know. That's just how it goes. It's just good to find a balance, you know. Or if you're a person, you know, like me, who loves being by yourself, who loves being away, but also loves to interact with people and also loves to, you know, have fun. You just find the balance. Find the balance. Find the balance. And once you find the right balance for you, find the right way to balance it out for you, it'll start getting better. It'll start getting better. I don't know how many times I done had people telling me like, oh, you're fake because you don't come out no more. Oh, you're fake because you know, I haven't seen things like that. Or I've seen people go through stuff. It's like, I'm losing all my friends because I'm always working. I'm losing all of this. I'm losing all of my friends and family because I'm always working. I'm always doing this. I'm always, you know, or because I don't like to go out, you know. I was one of these people, and I see a lot of people now say I don't go out because of the negative energy and negative vibes, and you don't know who's out to get you and who's not, and you don't know what's going to happen and things like that. You don't have to be like that. You really don't have to be like that at all. As long as you keep God at the center of your life, meaning you pray every day, you get what I mean, and you seek his guidance every day, you know. You don't got to be shut up in your house and scared of the world and the threats that they pose to you. You know, you don't have to be like that. You don't. Only time a person is like that is when they know they've been out there doing bad. They know they've been out there committing crimes. They know they've been out there doing things that's going to come back for them, you know. So they go shut themselves up. They be scared of the threats. But you don't have to be like that. You know, you can work on yourself every day. You can work on yourself every day. Real life. And you can get you a balance. You can get you a balance. And you don't got to be like feeling like, oh, well, I put in too much time in here, so I don't have enough time over here. Nothing like that, you know. Real life. But that's the message, y'all. That is really the message. I hope this helps somebody. I really do. I hope this helps somebody. My hair was looking crazy the whole time. I don't care though, because this it for today. But that's the message, y'all. I'll be back tomorrow when I wake up and freshen up and everything. And I'm going to be reading this template here. You know. And we're gonna be talking about love, you know. So we've been talking about forgiveness, we've been talking about release, we've been talking about all that. Now we're finna talk about love, the big capital. Alright, so God, I just come to you today just to say thank you. Thank you for giving us another day. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. Thank you for coming into my life and changing me in the way that you did. Thank you for being there for me even when I couldn't be there for myself. Thank you for being there for everyone else. Thank you for being that person when I felt like I didn't have nobody else. Thank you for being there. Real life. Thank you for these messages. Thank you. And I ask that you bless anybody who needs to be where you need them to be. I ask that you touch their eyes, their ears, their mouth, their nose, their whole body, Lord. Just touch them. Lord, only you know what's in our hearts. Only you know what we really need. So you know I don't even have to start. I don't even have to send the whole rambling prayer on. You already know what's in my heart, God. You know. So as I let it sing on to you, I close this prayer up. And with that being said, in your name, Lord, I pray. Amen. Hallelujah. Hey, can I get a hallelujah? Hallelujah. Hey, no, I'm just playing. For real, y'all. Message, though. Good night.